All About Podbean by Mrs. Shamika Johnson. Shamika Renee Johnson is a reading interventionist for Shelby County Public Schools. In this position, she creates individualized student assessment and explicit lesson plans geared toward state-mandated testing. Prior to, Ms. Johnson was also a reading teacher to lower-level and ELL learners at both Central High School and Liberty Alternative. Ms. Johnson holds credentials in English education, a specialization in curriculum and instruction, and is currently working on completing her certification in library science. All About Podbean. What is Podbean? Podbean is a free software application program geared toward student users that enable them to create scripts, MP3s, video media, and any other type of material geared toward core content areas. The publications are then broadcasted and published on www.podbean.com as a free software application opened up to podcast publishing and podcast audiences. So what's the catch? There isn't one. Popular features of Podbean include RSS syndication, music downloads, and of course, the free account. Here we see the beginning stages of creating your free account. Of course, there is the option of picking up a paid account, but we as teachers need that free account. So what are the objectives of Podbean for both students and adult learners? The objectives include for students learning to read, write, listen, and speak for information, collaborating with others, deepening meaning, and demonstrating useful software knowledge. For adults, the objectives include applying digital technology in the classroom, developing critical thinking scenarios to manage projects, demonstrating effective use of technological projects, and understanding technology applications. So why don't we look at some podcasting student activity examples geared toward every core content. The first is a social studies activity. A day in the life of a hobo in the ghetto. This would be used specifically to discuss the Great Depression and the plight of man during a fictionalized account of the day in the life of a hobo. Students create a blog of their own and then discuss what they liked or disliked about the story that was created. The blogs provide a public forum to present, and this is another way to share student work without bias. A day in the life of a hobo in the ghetto. Social studies Podbean activity. Math podcasting activity. Students will collect an equation and divide it into two parts. Students will strategize two different ways to solve the equation. They will then write out the necessary steps needed to solve the equation and upload the final conclusion to the class podcast page. It's an example of a math podcasting activity used with podbean.com. Science. Let's go back in time. Students will interview a parent, teacher, or a family friend born between 1946 to 1965. They will present them with a list of technological advances in science such as a timeline. The interviewee will be recorded talking about the product. Students will create a chart that shows then and now and upload. English and language arts. Book review. Students will answer specific questions about a chosen book of their choice. They will create a podcast which includes short story elements, summary of the book, particular passages of interest, and explain why they like the book. All of the book talk will be posted on the podcast page. This is an example of an English and language arts activity. So, how does Podbean work so far as implementing the virtual classroom? Teachers, the Podbean publishing system allows you to record notes, submit videos and blogs, and attach PDF documents through your own personal podcasting channel that you've created for yourself and your students to communicate. What are the other great benefits of this virtual classroom through this free Podbean application? College and career readiness, a new way to inspire and motivate. Online learning is the wave of the future. Students will respond to collaborative software application and also develop those college readiness skills necessary to be successful in college. How or why? Podbean allows you to create tailored materials that are geared toward your student learners. What about our parents? Stay in touch. Keep up the rapport. Your podcasting system makes communicating with your students and their families effective. Promote weekly blogs, homework assignments, alerts through your podcasting channel. Simple blogging becomes a necessary tool for student to teacher to happy parents. So this is where it all begins. Podbean.com. Go to Podbean and create your own website. It's so simple and easy to navigate. Through the Podbean.com website, you can also create your own podcasting channel based on your core content area. Also, through this particular site, you can look at other examples of podcasting activities to give yourself an idea of what to look for so that you won't be lost. Here is an example of the various podcasts that are playing or published. You would go here to look at examples, get ideas, and then go to your own personal episode page, determining what assignments you might want to create for your students. Right now, my page is empty. You see, we have my post, my episode, no title, no activity. After viewing a few other podcast examples from the Podbean website, I decided my first activity would be a multiple intelligence survey. After creating my site, I went in and uploaded a multiple intelligence survey PDF. This would be used the first week of school as students are getting to know each other and I'm trying to get to know my students. Here you see my personal Podbean page, which does not have a post. After adding in the actual multiple intelligence survey, I do now have a post. My assessment for my students will also be included on this page. And the assessment I plan to use as an English teacher is a book review, including the Bluford series. The Bluford series is excellent because every student has that text to life connection and they're usually very excited about creating an example and demonstration from the Bluford series. My objective for students includes students being able to demonstrate the use of technology by creating and uploading a podcast book talk. The assignment: students will upload their finished book report from the Bluford series library of books to the Podbean website of their teacher. So students must demonstrate being able to create a book talk and then loading it to my actual Podbean page. Here we see the podcast book talk assessment rubric. We have points of 4, 3, 2, 1, including introduction, content, recommendation, creativity, and length of time. Students must complete each section as mentioned in the rubric in order to receive full points and credit. Lastly, the book talk assessment itself. Students must follow this assessment page in order to go about creating their Podbean. Here we have what a book talk is, the requirements, recorded length, which is 3 to 4 minutes, and an actual overview of everything the book talk should include. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation on Podbean, and I would love for you, as the adult learner, to give me feedback. Please take out the index cards and the surveys in front of you to take a few minutes to respond to this session on podbean.com. Let me know your level of knowledge, 1 being least, 10 being greatest, of Podbean before the PD, after the PD, and also I would like to know if you have any questions for me, and if there's anything I can do at all to assist you. Please refer back to my information presented at the beginning of the video and follow up with me in regards to podbean.com.